have over 100 books that I need to unhaul. They are too many books and they're just taking up space in my bedroom. They're making my bedroom look messy, you know, disorganized. We don't live for that in 2020. You can barely see half of it. This is like the first pile, but there's like a lot next to me. It's kind of intimidating. So I'm not gonna talk that much. I'm just gonna go straight through it and I'm gonna talk about all of these books. I also want to mention that most of these books I'm going to be either giving them to schools or just finding someone that wants them, but I'm also going to be putting a lot of them on my Depop. I did create a store just specifically for this unhaul because there's just too many books. I'm not sure if there's 100, I just know that it exceeds 90 books. So let's get to this, let's go. The first set of books that I'm going to be getting rid of is the Divergent trilogy written by Veronica Roth. I think it's about time, honestly. These came out, I don't even know when these came out, but these came out when, you know, the Hunger Games was going on. Like, you know, the dystopian genre was very popular back when these came out, and Divergent, I think we all know what Divergent is about. And I was a very big fan of Divergent, but then Insurgent let me down, and then Allegiant, I don't even want to, like, I like to pretend that it never happened, kind of like Mockingjay. And I just kept them because, you know, nostalgic reasons, but at this point, I stare at them and it's like, you disappointed me so much, why would I ever keep you? The next trilogy that I'm going to be getting rid of is the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children box set. The first 3 novels. I know that Ransom Riggs has kind of written more books in this world, and I never even bothered to pick them up because even though I did like them when they came out, you know, it's not, I guess it's just not for me. I'm also not a big fan of the writing. To be honest, the only reason that I got these, it wasn't because of the plot, it wasn't because I found them interesting, it was because Ransom Riggs is the husband of Tahara Mafi, which is the author of Shatter Me, which is one of my all-time favorite books. The next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Again But Better, written by Christine Riccio, aka Poland Bananas Books, here on BookTube. I bought the exclusive edition of Barnes & Noble. It's signed by the author and it has like bonus content that I didn't even bother to read because I disliked this book so much. I was bored out of my mind. It was full of, you know, cultural references and it was just not for me. I wanted to keep this just because, you know, it's a book by a booktuber, the first booktuber that I ever watched. But the more and more I look at this book, it just kind of pisses me off. So I'm going to be saying goodbye to it so that we can let go of those negative emotions. Fairest and Stars Above, written by Marissa Meyer. These are like separate stories from the main plotline of the the Lunar Chronicles series, which is Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. Oof, the fact that I still know those names, wow. Right, so this is a story of, you know, the bad queen, the villain, like her prequel, and then this is like 3 short stories of the characters after the events of Winter. And even though I'm still keeping the original quartet, you know, the 4 books that I mentioned, I have no intention of ever reading these books again because I hated this one, and this one was just like a money grabber for me, honestly. All the Bright Places, written by Jennifer Niven. When I read this, I loved it. I heard that they were making a movie about it. I'm really excited to see it. I don't think I'm going to read it ever again. No hate, it's just that I'm kind of over this genre. You know, new year, new me. The Last Time We Say Goodbye. I actually really love this book. It's by Cynthia Hand, if you're wondering, and it's about a sister that loses her brother to suicide, and she's just going through it, and it's a very depressing book, and it actually really reminds me of my brother. But again, I'm mainly keeping it for nostalgic reasons, so I'm gonna say goodbye because I'm never gonna read this again. But I do recommend it. Like, if you're interested, you should definitely catch this. They Both Die at the End, written by Adam Silvera. I feel like Adam Silvera has a lot of promise as an author. It was fun when I was reading it, but then when I finished it and I kind of like thought back on my experience, I realized that I was a bit bored and it was just very, I don't freaking know. The concept is interesting. I just feel like the execution could have been a bit better. These next books, I'm going to talk about all of them at the same time because they're all from the same author, and they are basically the whole collection of Colleen Hoover. As I was mentioning, I just got tired of the genre. I don't really care for it anymore. When I first read them, they had my heart, they had my body, they had my soul, and now I look at them and it's like, you're a bit overrated. Maybe someday, maybe not. November 9, It Ends With Us, Confess, Hopeless and Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella, Slammed, Point of Retreat, Point of Retreat, and This Girl. And finally, we have Ugly Love, Passenger and Wayfarer, which is a duology written by Alexandra Bracken. She is also the author of The Darkest Minds. It was so interesting for me because it's like time travel and pirates, and it's just super interesting and super fun to read. But as time went on, I kind of lost my interest. They were good, but I don't think I'd ever reread them again, so they were kind of just taking up space in my shelf. Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, The Unexpected Everything, Save the Date, and Second Chance Summer. When I read them, I loved them. Second Chance Summer absolutely broke my heart. It's about a dad that has cancer, and the girl, our main protagonist, she's going through it, and it's really emotional. It's a very emotional roller coaster. Morgan Matson as a whole is a really amazing contemporary author, and back when I was obsessed with contemporary, I would devour all of her books. And I've actually reread Second Chance Summer and Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, but as time went on, as my tastes have developed, I just don't really think I'm going to be reaching for them ever in my life. Renegades and Arch Enemies, written by Marissa Meyer. This trilogy recently concluded with Supernova, and I honestly have no interest whatsoever in finishing this trilogy. Renegades, it had a lot of potential, and then with Arch Enemies, it kind of went down the drain for me. It was so boring. Personally, I just found it so boring, and all the characters were so bland. They had no qualities to differentiate between each other. Like, they were all just looking the same to me, and it was just so basic and it was so boring. And I know that so many people love these books. I don't know why. I even DIY sprayed edged my Renegades copy, and you know, hopefully somebody likes the red sprayed edges because I'm going to be giving away those. Sweet Evil, Sweet Peril, Sweet Reckoning, and Sweet Temptation. This is a series of like demigods. Wait, is it demigods? Because it's like the 7, you know, lust, gluttony, pride, you know, those 7 things. And it's kind of based on that, and each of the characters are kind of like the daughters and sons of these things, and it was fun. It's like a very trashy fantasy trilogy series, whatever, but it's really fun. It was like, it's good to pass the time. Like, if you're just looking for a very quick-paced, funny, sardonic, filled with a lot of banter and a lot of sexy moments, then yeah, this is the series for you. Angel Fall, World After, and The End of Days. This is a trilogy about fallen angels and this one girl that kind of has to save the world against them. Of course, our main character falls in love with a fallen angel, and the fallen angel falls in love with her, but he's trying to deny it because they're like enemies. And of course, enemies to lovers, we love, we stan, but I no longer love and I no longer stan. So the covers are one of the worst things that you will ever see, but I swear they're so good. White Hot Kiss, Stone Cold Touch, and Every Last Breath. I mean, look at these covers. Aren't they one of the most horrific things you have ever seen in your life? But they were so good. Literally, the banter between the characters, the sexual tension, holy crap. I feel like this is the first time that I ever encountered really good sexual tension, and I was like 15, so I did not know what sexual tension was, and then I was like, what is this feeling? Why do I feel this way? Why am I so nervous? But nothing is happening. They're just staring at each other very intently. So these books were an awakening of some sorts. So Shiver, Linger, and Forever. This is I think the first trilogy that Maggie Stiefvater ever wrote. If you don't know Maggie Stiefvater, she wrote The Raven Boys, which is a lot of people's favorite book. And I feel like nobody talks about this trilogy because it sucks. It's like absolute trash. It's about wolves, and this girl falls in love with a werewolf, not wolves, just werewolves. I don't know, it's just really bad, and it's like she gets bitten, so of course she becomes a werewolf. And it's really angsty, but it has no reason to be angsty, and it's just such a waste of time. They look really cute in my shelf though, like I love how it's super shiny, but in 2020, we've decided that we're not keeping books just for aesthetic reasons. We're keeping books because we actually enjoy them. Keeping up with the theme of Maggie Stiefvater, I'm also getting rid of All the Crooked Saints, which is probably the worst book that she has ever written, but that's my opinion. I don't know if you've read this. Not a lot of people were talking about it when it came out, but it was just... it was very... I don't even, it was, yeah, exactly. I took about 3 weeks to read it. Literally a 200-page book. I took 3 weeks to read it. If that doesn't tell you how much I enjoyed it, then I don't know what will. The Last Magician, written by Lisa Maxwell. I know that a lot of people here on BookTube love this book, and it's so weird because when I first read it, I actually really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 4.5 out of 5 stars. But for some reason, I can't remember, for the life of me, I cannot remember what this book is about. I can't remember why I gave it such a high rating. Like, if you can't even remember the names, characters, did you really even enjoy the book? I don't care enough to like reread it, so I guess I'm just going to let go of it and hopefully somebody else wants it. These next 2 books are actually ARCs, so I'm not sure that I can sell them, but I can donate them if need be. They are Reverie and Belle Revolt by Ryan LaSala and Lindsay Miller. These were sent to me by Fierce Reads, and even though I really appreciate it, like I'm so thankful, like yes ma'am, thank you for thinking about me, I didn't enjoy them. Like, you know, I gotta be honest, I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I liked a book that I didn't. Fierce Reads also went ahead and sent me the hardcover finished print of Reverie, which is very beautiful, if I do say so myself. These 4 books I got in Fairy Loot boxes, and I don't know if you know my history with Fairy Loot, but I am not the biggest fan. So obviously I'm going to be getting rid of these books. Circle of Shadows, The Beholder, To Best the Boys, and Viper. They were just not my cup of tea. They were very mediocre. That's just my opinion. If you loved it, then good for you. But I didn't, so I need to get rid of them. The Myra Dyer trilogy, which are The Unbecoming of Myra Dyer, The Evolution of Myra Dyer, and The Retribution of Myra Dyer, plus The Becoming of Noah Shaw, which is like the spin-off trilogy of told from Noah's point of view. Terrible. Please don't read it, and if you have, I'm so sorry for your waste of money. Half-Blood and Pure, this is like a series of demigods. It really reminds me of Percy Jackson, but with more sexual tension and with a different target audience. Then we have The Iron Trial by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black, which is basically a ripoff of Harry Potter. Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is basically a literal carbon copy of the Illuminae files, but dumbed down. Let It Snow, which is a very misogynistic and very sexist Christmas story for some reason. My True Love Gave to Me, which is like a collection of 12 holiday stories, perfect for Christmas time. I love it, but I kind of want to get over it now. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, the Queen of Controversy, Sarah Dessen, Saint Anything, Victoria Schwab's The Archives, which is probably the worst book she's ever written, The Crow Prince by Holly Black. I'm giving this away not because I didn't like it, but because I already have a hardcover edition and I don't really need to have 2 copies of the same book. So there we go. The Winner's Trilogy, which is The Winner's Curse, The Winner's Crime, and The Winner's Kiss. It's really good. The Kiss of Deception trilogy, which is The Kiss of Deception, Heart of Darkness, and The Beauty of Darkness. Heart of Darkness? Oh, The Heart of Betrayal. I'm so sorry, I can't read. Then we have the Legend trilogy written by Marie Liu, which is Legend, That is not part of this trilogy. What? Then we have the Legend trilogy, which is first Legend, then Prodigy, and finally Champion. This is actually probably one of my favorite dystopian trilogies ever to exist. It's really well done, and I feel like this is one of the few dystopian trilogies that doesn't mess it up in the last book, like Mockingjay and Allegiant. Like, we don't talk about them. But with this one, we can pretend that all of the books exist because all of them are good. So if you're looking for like a high stakes, action-packed dystopian trilogy which has really amazing characters and really good conversations, and it's actually worth your time, so I would really recommend these. I don't think I'm ever going to read them ever again, but hopefully somebody else wants them and enjoys them as much as I did when I first read them. We have the Young Elites trilogy, also by Marie Lu. This one I'm not a big fan of, but I know that a lot of people love it because our main character is actually the villain. So it's like really fun to read about because we don't usually get the villain as the main protagonist and as like the narrator of the whole series. So it's a really interesting analysis of how the character thinks and how they kind of explain away their bad decisions and why they kill people. So it's really fun. It's a really good time. And here we have the Young Elites, the Rose Society, and the Midnight Star. The last two books that I'm going to be unhauling this time around are The Wrath and the Dawn and The Rose and the Dagger, both written by Renee Ahdieh. These are really beautiful books, and yeah, I'm really obsessed with them aesthetic-wise, but story-wise, even though the characters are so good and they're like, oh my god, they're so well developed. And like, even to this day, I read this like 3 to 4 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, but I can still remember how they made me feel and how excited I was when I was reading them. They were really popular when they first came out, so if you still haven't read them but you're still interested in them, they're here for you. Hi. I really wanted to start 2020 fresh, clean slate, more bookshelf space, no need to buy an extra bookshelf, and all of the books that I've mentioned don't really bring me happiness, and I'd rather keep the books that I have good memories with and that when I see them it brings a smile to my face. That's not asking for too much, I think. So these are all the books that I'm going to be selling on my Depop, and also if you're interested, just DM me on Twitter if you'd like. I'm also, as I mentioned, going to be donating some to libraries and schools, and honestly, whoever is going to take them, like, just take them away from me. And yeah, I'm really happy to be starting this year with less baggage. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, thank you so much. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
You nice, keep going.